Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order this January the 4th, 2016. We'll begin this morning. If you'll all rise, and Pastor from the Living Faith Assembly of God, Mr. Harold Franklin, will lead us in the invocation, and Supervisor Gary Watson will lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, our Heavenly Father, for this beautiful morning. And Lord, we just ask your blessings on this meeting today. That you would be with each of our supervisors as they conduct county business. And Lord, we just pray this meeting all be done in peace and quiet and decent and in order. And Lord, we just thank you all and bless each one of them. Help them conduct their business in the benefit of our county people. And we just thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. You'll follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like the clerk of the board to make sure that we have our supervisors attending by telephone.
Supervisor Johnson?
Here.
Supervisor Moss?
Here.
Good morning. The chair will now entertain a motion and action to call for an executive session to be held January 19th, 2016 at 9:30 a.m. or at the conclusion of the regular meeting, whichever is later, for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 3843103A 3 and 4 to discuss items noticed on the agenda with an asterisk.
So moved.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, going on to the official business to come before the board this morning. Item number 1, discussion and pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. May I have a motion for an executive session on item 33, since we do have attorneys on standby?
Motion.
Into executive session.
Okay. I make a motion to go into executive session on item 33.
Second the motion.
Okay, a motion and seconded. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be adjourning to executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes, hopefully. Okay, may I have a motion to leave the executive session and reconvene for the public meeting?
So moved.
Second
All right.
motion.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion on item 33.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve Chairman sign a final confidentiality agreement for Mohave County's participation in Phase 2 of the Bill Williams Water Settlement Act and assign Supervisors Moss, Angus, County Administrator Mike Hendricks, and our attorney Carlos Ronstadt to attend preliminary meeting and report back to the board at a later date.
I'll second the motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Angus, seconded by Supervisor Watson. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Going on to item number 2, committee and/or legislative reports from the supervisors. Do we have any reports? Starting to my left, Supervisor Watson.
None this morning.
And Supervisor Angus.
No.
Supervisor Moss.
None.
And Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I submitted to the clerk just a financial statement from Quad State so that everybody can have a copy of that. It's just the balance. We went through our audits in California, and there was no problems. Also, just as an update, especially after with just the water issue we just went through previously, I don't know if people are following the jaguar issue down in southern Arizona, and where the Fish and Wildlife Service supervisor has been speaking at workshops, claiming that there would be no the critical habitat designation would not harm ranchers or anybody else. What they never mentioned is that the biological opinion for the Rosemont mine required the mine to purchase large neighboring ranches, such as the Sonita Creek Ranch, which was 1,200 acres of private land, retire all agricultural activity permanently, and develop new water sources to benefit the jaguar and oxlet and other species. The deeded lands had to be transferred to the land trust, thus are no longer on the local tax rolls. One of the recent replies from the Arizona Open Land Trust states they are now the owners of the Sonita Creek Ranch. The Rosemont, a few excerpts from it, the Rosemont has acquired the right to purchase Sonita Creek Ranch, which contains 1,200 acres of land along the Sonita Creek with an estimated 590 acre-feet of certified surface water rights from Monkey Spring, along with Sonita Creek. The Sonita Creek Ranch parcel is part of the conservation measure for the Chihuahua leopard frog, the Gila chub, the Gila top minnow, Hawachu, there's a bunch of them. The Sonita Creek Ranch land will be available to a suitable agency, land trust, or conservation organization via in lieu fee for the mitigation program. Rosemont will record a restrictive covenant or conservation easement on the Sonita Creek Ranch property that precludes real estate development and similar land use activities and livestock grazing and other agricultural uses subject to limitations outlined. Some of the water rights are a 1908 right, 88 WR certificate of 597.755 acre feet, a 1933 water right certified by ADWR for 477.545 acre feet, and a 1935 water right certified by ADWR for 46.455 acre feet. So while they're telling us that this water, we're not losing water, we're losing it all over the state. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Johnson. Going on to item number 3, the County Administrator Hendricks, would you like to give your annual report?
I have no report today, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And item number 4, Chair entertain a motion to approve the December 7th, 2015 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes and the December 17th, 2015 Board of Supervisors special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Going on to the call to the public. Those wishing to address the call to the public those wishing to address the board at the call to the public regarding matters not on the board agenda must fill out and submit to the clerk a request to speak form located in the back of the room prior to the meeting. Action taken as a result of a public comments would be limited to responding to criticism, referral to staff, or placing a matter on a future agenda. Comments are restricted to items not on the regular agenda with the exception of the consent agenda and must relate to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. I do have one person who would like to speak, Mr. William Bill McCarter. Mr. McCarter, if you'll come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind this morning.
I'm Bill McCarter, and I live at 6995 Balsa. And I have 3 houses faces Balsa. I've been there since 2005, and I've been paying taxes over the year. Why do not they grade that part of Balsa? They grade up to Laguna, which is the corner, and they don't grade in front of my house. And then down a block, there's 2 more stick-built houses. And that's my question now. I'd just like to have an answer on that.
All right, we cannot comment to your question during the call to the public, but I will refer that to staff, and they will contact you and let you know why we don't do that.
I appreciate it. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now go on to our presentation. We have Mr. J.C. Sanders, who's the chairman of the Arizona Peace Trail Incorporated, who's going to be giving us a presentation on the Arizona Peace Trail. I believe. Maybe it's Director Lukowski that'll do this.
Oh, yes, of course. Madam Chair, members of the board, I just want to take a minute to comment that the Arizona Peace Trail represents a concept recreational trail system from Yuma to Bullhead City and encompassing 750 miles. It is being planned as a maintainable loop toward promoting winter recreation in western Arizona, and portions of the trail encompass existing paved and unsurfaced public roads. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce J.C. Sanders, the chairman of the Arizona Peace Trail Incorporated, who will provide you with an overview of the proposed project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Sanders.
Good morning. Thank you very much, supervisors, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. I'm J.C. Sanders. I live in Balsa, Arizona. I'm a permanent resident of Kentucky, so I'm a winter visitor primarily. I'd like to introduce a couple of other people. We have a couple of board members here from the Peace Trail Corporation. We have John Strong from the Havasu Four-Wheelers. He represents a group of about 400 members in Lake Havasu City. We have J.B. Peters, who's a member of the Arizona Ghost Riders, which from Balsa, Arizona, and I'm the president of that organization. So, retired civil engineer, worked for the federal government for 30 years, just a little background so you'll have an idea. What I want to talk to you about is the Arizona Peace Trail. It's a loop trail system for OHV travel between Bullhead City and Yuma. It passes through Kingman. I've accomplished most of the introduction. These are the items that I want to talk to you about, the origin of this plan or this project, the purpose, where we are now, what our plan is, and what our long-term goals are. If I could ask that we hold questions and comments till the end, I think it would probably speed it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
The origin of the trail, back in 2011, the Arizona Sunriders in Quartzsite actually tried to develop a loop trail system just in La Paz County. They were unsuccessful. They hadn't started a travel management plan in that area at that time. So in a follow-on meeting between BLM and Game and Fish in 2013, the Game and Fish and BLM proposed a trail system or a connecting trail between Bullhead City and Yuma. Our OHV club happened to have a member at that meeting. Let me know about it. We immediately knew that it would be difficult for any one government agency to establish or coordinate a plan like that involves so many stakeholders. So that's when we got involved. The purpose of our organization is to establish a recreational off-road vehicle or off-highway vehicle trail system similar to what's in the Paiute Trail. The Paiute Trail has been such an example nationwide for trail systems, what it can do for small communities. In 2012, they estimated they had 114,000 plus visitors that brought in over $7 million just for that one small trail system. And it's a great system. We've visited it and using it as an example for our development. We wanted to find a maintainable loop route. It's approximately 750 miles long and include as many of the small communities as we can. We're dependent upon the communities for support, food, lodging, fuel, that sort of thing. And the main idea is to promote winter visitors or winter recreation in southwest and western Arizona. In 2003, the state parks did a study on what OHV community brought into the western Arizona, the 3 counties, and they estimated at that time over $400 million a year was being spent in that industry. Today, it's got to have doubled or more. It's really increased as far as the amount of money that's being spent, and we'd like to keep that growing. The state's planning on doing another study shortly to see what it is now, so we'll have something to compare to. Where we are now, the Arizona Peace Trail Incorporated was established as a nonprofit organization back in, we actually started it back in 2014, and we finalized our corporation papers and our nonprofit status in July last year. I've included a mission statement here. This is the majority of our mission statement, but basically our mission is to develop a loop trail system utilizing existing trails and roads in western Arizona connecting Bullhead City and Yuma. Work with the cities, counties, states, federal agencies to keep the desert roads and trails open for the public use. We work on projects for our communities, our highways, and our public lands. Promote the sport of off-highway vehicle riding safety with awareness and respect for the environment. Currently, we've got well over 40 participating members in the organization. We've got at least 12 OHV clubs who have participated in our meetings and supporting us. We've got numerous government supporters. We've got the Board of Supervisors in La Paz County on board. We've got ADOT is on board. We've got BLM on board. Game and Fish is working with us, and there's a great working relationship there. Like I said, our first meeting was held in 2014. We still have meetings every month on the second Wednesday of November through March. We do not meet during the summertime. It doesn't mean that we don't conduct business during the summer, though. We've defined a potential route for this loop. We're still trying to get it adjusted. We have to have some alternates. There's some difficult areas that we may have to bypass or provide a bypass. But due to the fact that we're using county roads, we're crossing state highways in a couple of places, we're going through some wildlife refuges. We have to have restricted to street legal vehicles. We've submitted the basic route to BLM back in March for their review and incorporation into their travel management plans, and they've appointed Mr. John McDonald, who is the Yuma Field Office Manager, as the lead coordinator for BLM. This is just shows you an outline of where the trail goes. It's the majority of it is off-road. There's an area between Yuma and Dateland that's primarily county road. There's some county road near Salome. There's a lot of different places we'll end up using or utilizing county roads, but most of them are dirt roads. We do have some paved roads coming through the Kingman area. We come out of the Wallapies into Kingman on a paved road and then leave Kingman on a paved road. But it gives us access to lodging and food and gas. That just gives you a general idea of where this trail, what we've established to date. And like I've said several times, we're utilizing existing OHV trails and roads. We do not plan on building any new roads or trails. We've defined a route that's acceptable with the land managers. If there are any issues, the Game and Fish, BLM are more than glad to bring them up, and we will reroute those areas. So far, we haven't run into any impossible areas. We coordinate with the federal, state, and local government agencies for development assistance, because this organization does not have an income other than through public donations. So we're dependent upon other agencies to provide support in the development of this trail system, especially in signage and mapping and that sort of thing. And we're willing to apply for grants for other agencies to use. We'll also, for counties or state governments that want to apply for their grants, we will support those and give you documentation to support them. One of the big issues is going to be getting the entire route signed. There are several areas that are not included in BLM's travel management plan. There's a potential to be able to at least put route markers, but not actual signs on those trails. We're actually starting to sign an area in the La Posa travel management plan shortly. The first sign goes up in La Paz County on Wednesday, and that's being installed by the La Paz County Public Works on the county roads only. Ultimately, we hope to publish or map the system and publish a book about the route, be something that we can distribute nationwide. We can advertise it through the industry to attract different or just tourists to this area. Long-term goals, we want to have the local clubs adopt segments of the trail for monitoring and addressing problem areas and possibly even some minor maintenance work. We'll modify the routes as necessary if there becomes an issue in an area where we cannot travel through. We'll need to make those changes. We hope to establish staging areas at strategic locations. Matter of fact, La Paz County just received a grant from the state parks recently to develop a staging area at Cibola. In the maps, when we develop the maps, we hope to have loop trails near these staging areas and towns, local attractions, have day loop of areas where people can come spend a short amount of time rather than spending 7 or 8 days traveling the entire trail. But our long-term goal is to develop recreation opportunities here in western Arizona that we can promote nationwide. and promote local government and public involvement in this trail. That's what we're really looking for, is because we've got to have the whole area pulling for this trail to make it a long-term success. We've got a website up, working. We hope to make some improvements on it in the near future. We also are on Facebook at the Arizona Peace Trail, so you're welcome to come view our systems. We do have some GPS routes or tracks available out online that people can go to now and at least see what we have proposed at this time. And that concludes my presentation on the Arizona Peace Trail. If we've got questions or input.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanders. Do any of the supervisors have any questions, starting with Supervisor Angus?
Thank you very much for coming this morning and waiting. I was very excited to see this on the agenda. I know a lot of hard work has gone into it. You and your committee and Supervisor Holly Irwin, who I'll see tomorrow and tell her what a great job you did. I was just wondering if you have any kind of timeline on this.
A lot of our timeline is dependent upon BLM as far as travel management plans. They're saying that the state would like to have the travel management plans completed by the end of 2018. I don't believe that's realistic. If we can have the trail marked and mapped by the end of 2018, we'll be really lucky. This is a long-term project. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but it's something that will benefit this area for years and years to come. The Paiute Trail in Utah was developed in 1989. It's bigger today, or has more tourism today than it's ever had. This is a growing industry.
Well, is there anything we can do for you to help? I know you're working with Steve Latosky, and I'm sure that he's helping in any way he can, but is there anything we can do as a board?
We might consider in Mohave County signing the county roads. That might be something that could be done. Now, in La Paz County, they've got a grant from Yamaha Corporation to purchase the signs, and they're going to install them primarily at intersections on the county roads. If the county road is included as a BLM route, we'll do interim signs or markers along the county road separate from that. But the initial signage would be a big help to the organization. And like I said, we may be able to get grants for you to accomplish that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right, Supervisor Watson.
Well, sir, I want to say that that's quite an ambitious goal that you've got there, and it's very important to Western Arizona. A great deal of economic activity can be created by that. I'll let you know that I serve on the state BLM Advisory Council Board, and I'll do everything I can to help promote your project. I think it's very important and for Mohave County and for Western Arizona, so you certainly have my support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will go on to Supervisor Johnson. Do you have any questions? Comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my first question would be, you stated in here, at least on the back that we have, this is the $219 million economic development for Mohave County. Where did you get those numbers at?
The statement I made, I think, was that for the three county areas, about $400 million in revenue from the OHV industry, and that was done by the state park system, an analysis they did in 2003. So it's old data, I realize that. They're currently in the process of doing an update to that study, and it probably will not be available until 2017.
Okay, well, I guess it was just misleading here because I understood that when you were talking, but then in our backup it says the economic benefit to Mohave County. So do you have an estimate of what this trail could possibly bring to Mohave County?
Oh, gee, it'd just be a wild guess right now.
Yeah,
I would
okay.
say it should be the potential of, 500 million a year or something like that in total revenue that they could potentially bring into the county.
And you've done, so far, there's been no environmental impact statements, none of those have been done?
No, there have not. We're utilizing existing trails and roads. That's the reason it's important that we get the BLM travel management plans completed, because the travel management plans include the environmental impact of the trail systems.
Those are the only questions I had, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, and then Supervisor Moss, do you want to chime in?
I would just say to the Speaker, thank you very much for you and your organization, the work you're doing on this. I do think it's a great project, and I believe it'll benefit the three counties and Arizona and all our residents, and keep up the good work and let us know if we can do anything for you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, and I'll just echo what every other supervisor has said. We think it's a great idea, and I will direct staff to consider and pursue how we can help get this trail established in Mohave County.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Okay. We'll go on to proclamations, and Supervisor Moss, I believe you've got a proclamation commemorating the Mohave County School Choice Week. Would you like to read that into the record, or would you like me to do that for you? Supervisor Moss, are you there?
I'm sorry, Madam Chairman. It would sound better from you since you're live and I'm on telephone, so if you could handle that, I would greatly appreciate it.
All right. Whereas all children in Mohave County should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas Mohave County recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in Mohave County to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of Mohave County, and whereas Mohave County is home to a multitude of high-quality traditional public schools, public magnet schools, public charter schools, and non-public schools from which parents can choose for their children, and whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy but also enhances the vibrancy of our community, and whereas Mohave County has many high-quality teaching professionals in traditional public schools, public magnet schools, public charter schools, and non-public schools who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational opinions. Therefore, the Mohave County Board of Supervisors do hereby recognize January 24th through the 30th, 2016 as School Choice Week in Mohave County, and we will call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. Executed this 4th day of January 2016 by the Board of Supervisors.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Going on to the consent agenda. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion of said items unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. All right, does any of the board members have any items they would like removed? Supervisor Angus, starting with you.
None this morning.
All right, Supervisor Watson.
None this morning.
Supervisor Johnson,
28.
28. And Supervisor Moss.
None this morning.
All right, may I have a motion to approve items 5 through 28 or 5 through 28 with the exception of 28?
So moved.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to item number 28. Set a public hearing on March 7th, 2016 for adoption of the Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2016-10 and ordinance number 2016-01 to increase the Superior Court case filing response fees by $40. Supervisor Moss.
Yes, this was brought to me basically a year ago, and essentially the courts are being required to move into electronic data keeping, electronic production of records on the internet. For example, currently in Mohave County, you can access the internet to find out what cases have been filed, but you can't actually see the documents. In Maricopa County, lawyers and litigants and the public both file documents online, and they can review documents online. That's the trend of the future, and that is what is going to be occurring, as is being required going forward into the future. And rather than take this monies out of tax revenues, since there's a fee structure put in place by law, I was of the opinion, supported by Kip Anderson and Presiding Judge Gertler, that it is better that the actual litigants pay for the cost. If they're going to litigate and create these expenses, they should cover the expense of it. So basically, it's a effort to comply with what's being required by us from the AOC and others, and move us forward into the future when it comes to these electronic filings and electronic record keeping. And it's also to ensure that the litigants are paying for the services the courts are supplying in this regard, as opposed to it coming, the courts having to make additional demands on the general fund or the residential taxpayer.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Johnson, you asked to have this poll, so did that answer your questions?
No, what I'm looking for, and I don't disagree with anything that Supervisor Moss has said, but the way we've done it in the past, and the reason we formed the Office of Budget and Management was to review these things, especially on fees, and bring us back, their unbiased opinion. And I would like to see that before we go to a public hearing. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe the courts, but they're just saying they need more money, and I would like to have the Office of Budget and Management look at it first and bring it back so we had some independent verification. That was all, Madam Chair.
All right, Supervisor Johnson, we were having difficulty hearing you. Your voice was coming across kind of muffled. Can you repeat that for us, please?
The short version is, we have Office of Budget and Management. I would like to see them review this and give us an independent audit of the funds now and the fees, and then bring that back before we have a public hearing.
If I could, Madam Chair?
Yes, Supervisor Moss.
I think it might be wise to consult with Kip Anderson if he's present in the audience. I will say that from looking at the court's proposal, it's very modest. For example, when I was a couple of years back, I was briefly involved in some litigation in Maricopa County. And not only do you have filing fees and other fees, which are much in excess, substantially in excess of what Mohave County charges, they also have like a $6 per document fee. So if you file a document that's one page, you pay $6. If you file another document, it's a constant, it's a death of 1,000 cuts. What they're proposing is much more reasonable and much more, I think, in tune with what the actual costs are. But I defer to Mr. Anderson on that.
All right, we do have Chuck Gertler at the podium and Kip Anderson. So, Mr. Gertler, the floor is yours.
Happy New Year. May it please the Chairman, Supervisors, Administration, and Council. Back in 2003, the Board initially established the fee that we receive with respect to our online services and with respect to our IT department. If you can see from, they can pick up, our IT services back in 2003 when it was established, there was literally nothing that was going on. It was just getting started. It immediately expanded into 2004. And in 2006, the services have greatly expanded. What is on the horizon with respect to the courts is absolutely huge. As Supervisor Moss was indicating, in Maricopa County, there is a filing fee for every document. That will probably be instituted by the AOC with respect to Mohave County when the e-filing comes on board. But e-filing is not the only thing that is coming on board. We will have the e-bench, and these are, again, programs that the AOC will implement, and Mohave County courts will be required to utilize their services. All of our computers are AOC owned. And so whatever the AOC does, Mohave County courts will have to follow in line. Currently, we do not have, sufficient personnel to take care of our existing needs. The proposed increase would allow us to turn around and bring in another staff member with our IT department. And again, as Supervisor Moss pointed out, this would be at the court user's charge as compared to coming to the board and asking for general funds to pay for that. In particular, with respect to our automation budget, back in 2004, the fees that we collected were $78,955. They peaked in 2008 when we had our phenomenal increase in filings to $123,309. Currently, we are trending towards being back down to $73,761 is what we will collect under the current fee that was established by the board back in 2003. The amount that we are looking at receiving with this additional fee being imposed would generate an estimated $105,000. And that would allow us to hire another individual within the IT department with a cost of $51,708, and with benefits that would be $72,308. The remaining fees would then go to the clerk's EDMS budget, the Electronic Document Management System budget. And that would bring us back to around the $105,000 mark. And this is significant because of the fact that, there are obviously security issues, as Supervisor Johnson has, pointed out over the, last several years. Currently, our IT director has been involved in security audits. The AOC has been involved in security audits. As Supervisor Moss indicated, we will be having court documents that will be coming online. This is, again, something that the AOC is anticipating to roll out this next year. And I want you to think about this. For decades, we had child support orders that were issued that would include child's name, birth date, social security number. We have probate filings where, a deceased birth date, social security number was included. In the domestic relations cases, the parents' names, birth dates, social security numbers were added. Certainly we don't want court documents coming online that people could access and find someone's birth date, social security number, and address. So there are, absolutely huge issues that we're going to have to turn around and deal with, as these services become online. And as indicated by, and I apologize that obviously Supervisor Johnson cannot see the document, we intended to bring this forth at the March 7th meeting and provide to the supervisors beforehand. With all the services that have come online, it's not just the fact that we have these existing services. You have to maintain these systems. And a prime example was the AJAX program that the AOC implemented a couple of years ago. They had 2 counties that were essentially the pilot program. They didn't find many issues with respect to the AJAX program when it came online. Mohave County was the 3rd county. When the AJAX came to Mohave County, we immediately identified numerous issues that have had to since been resolved, and some of those still have not been resolved. So we have a phenomenal IT department with the court, simply put. But as new programs come online, there's obviously bugs that have to be worked out. There are huge security issues that we have concerns with. And with all of the new programs that will be coming online with the AOC this next year, we're already behind the curve, and we don't want to fall even further behind. And I'm sure that, Kip has some additional comments, and I would also invite our Clerk of the Court, Verlyn Tennell, to come forward if she has any additional comments as well.
I don't want to, Madam Chair and board members, I don't want to belabor the point, but we have looked at this. We've identified the funding. It's for funding for staff, and then, as the judge mentioned, funding that will help Verlyn with her EDMS. She maintains the electronic document management system. The renewal fees keep going up on that. As you can imagine, things don't go down, the fees go up. She needs some additional money in there, and that's how we've identified this budget. We've reached out to other counties. We're not the only county that's doing this. Coconino County, they've already moved forward. After we get your approval, we have to go to the Chief Justice and get his approval as well. So we're coordinating across the state. This isn't anything new. We started in 2003. It's been 13 years since we've asked for any increases. We've been doing the best that we could, but as the judge mentioned, there's a bunch more programs coming, so we need to do this. I just would note, we reached out to Nathan here at the county, said, what can you do to help us if we need some help? And they're more than willing to help, but not on a full-time basis. I mean, they can't give us a staff person to help us on a full-time basis. So we really need to put somebody in-house, and this fee would allow us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Here's our Clerk of the Court, Verlyn. Good morning.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. One of the reasons that we didn't go through OMB to begin with, and I reiterate what everybody else said, but like the judge said, back in 2003, 2007-ish, when our numbers were peaking, we were not only paying for staff out of this, but we were also paying for our travel budget and our training and our supplies and telephone and all that. Basically, in my budget right now, we're at the staff member level, and that's it. So everything else has had to revert to the general fund. This increase would put me back to the 2007 level, wherein I could then add some more of those things to the EDMS budget that are now being consumed in the general fund budget. So it's not that we're asking for too much. We're not even asking for the amount that will cover the expenses.
All right, thank you very much. Do any of the supervisors have any questions, starting with Supervisor Angus?
No.
Supervisor Watson?
Yes, I do have a question. What would be the number that would cover the cost, Judge?
Quite frankly, sir, that number would probably double, and I don't know that the Chief Justice would approve the number.
Thank you.
Yeah, instead of 40, we'd probably want to be looking at a 60 or 70, and we don't want to go there because we're hoping we can get your approval, and we feel comfortable with this number that the Chief Justice will approve it as well.
We feel comfortable in light of what Coconino County is in the process of doing. We also feel comfortable with the number in light of what Maricopa County has already done. We are looking at simply matching what Maricopa County did without going to that next step of also asking for $6 every document being filed. However, we do anticipate the AOC will essentially make that happen in any event. I think also one of the other points that probably needs to be raised is that the AOC in this past year has adopted case processing standards, and Mohave County is one of the few counties that is right at meeting the standards. However, when you create standards, you have to generate reports to show, what are you doing with your cases? How are they being processed? What are the time frames? So again, we just simply, as an example, in Coconino County, they have one person in their county court administration that does nothing but the case processing standard reports. Here in Mohave County, we have an employee that is split fund. Half of her time she's generating those reports, and the other half of the time she is working with the mediation department and First Things First. It just simply is a fact of life with our budget that we had to split fund an employee that probably should be devoting 100% of her time, to these reports. And the Supreme Court has adopted the case standards with respect to civil matters, criminal matters, juvenile matters, domestic relations. They will now be adopting or have adopted standards with respect to probate, mental health, guardianships, and conservatorships. So there will be even more additional reports that will have to be generated in light of these standards.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve item 28.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 28. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to our public hearings. We'll open public hearing on item number 31. Discussion of possible action regarding the adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2016-005, zoning use permit on assessor parcel number 22716-057H to allow for an off-premise sign in a C2H general commercial highway frontage zone in South Mohave Valley vicinity. It's on the corner of Highway 95 and Wagon Wheel Lane. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to this issue? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Motion to
I move
approve
to
item.
approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Supervisor Angus. Was that a second from you, Supervisor Moss?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, going on to the regular agenda. Item number 32, we have a discussion and possible action reference employee leave programs to include accrual, carryover, and severance payout for new hires and existing employees. This was continued by the board at their December 21st meeting. Supervisor Angus, would you like to begin?
Yeah, this is just, it came back from our last meeting just for some clarification, and I think we've got it now. If no one wants to say anything, I'd like to make a motion. And I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of staff to accept the PTO accrual, yearly carryover, and severance payout for new employees based on the documentation that we received.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
And to clarify, just for my own edification, would that be per Supervisor Angus's December 15th memo?
I don't think so. It's the new one that we received in, was it? December
Is
22nd.
Mr. Cunningham here? Maybe he can come up and just make sure we're all on the same page on this.
Madam Chair, this is the combination of proposal from Supervisor Angus and Supervisor Watson. Supervisor Watson's proposal from November 2nd, 2015, and Supervisor Angus's proposal from December 21st. The recommendations would be starting on date of hire through year 2 would be 15 days. Starting of year 3 through 4 would be the 20 days. Starting year 5 through end of year 9 would be the 23. Starting end of 10 through end of year 14 would be 26. And then starting on year 15 would be 30 days.
Thank you.
PTO, so just for everyone's understanding, this includes vacation and sick time.
Correct. Our current program has everything combined.
Right.
And it's capped at 300 hours bankable?
That is what the current proposal is, yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And that is,
one more question.
that is a deduction from what is currently.
Currently, there's the cash out and carryover, there's a 900-hour carryover for current employees, and then there's a 600 and 400-hour cash out.
Right, and this new proposal is a cap at 300.
A cap for 300 for the severance and the carryover.
Thank you.
And that's an annual.
Okay, any further discussion?
I think I need to add something as the start date of it of what did we say, 25?
123, I believe it was.
123,
It gives us time for the
123.
payroll staff to make adjustments and everything to the system.
Amended second.
Okay, we have an amended motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with one opposed. Going on to item number 34. This is start for executive session, discussion and possible action reference hiring the risk manager director. Item number 34 was start for executive session, but Mr. Chatwin has chose open session. So Director Cunningham, would you like to lead us off on this? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I was in another conversation. My apologies to the board.
We're here to discuss in open meeting the possibility of hiring a new risk manager, Mr. Chatwood. So I thought you'd lead us off from that discussion.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Chatwin has over 21 years of experience in the insurance industry and commercial risk management. He has a bachelor's degree in communications, and the recommended salary is at range 29, step 6, at $102,440 annually. I believe this is a good recommendation, and Mr. Chatwin is here in the audience if there's any questions that the board would like of him.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to add that Mr. Chatwood was, his employment was negotiated under the old PTO agreements, and just to make a clarification so that there's no confusion in the future, that we're asking the board to hire him in under the old system.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe his start date would have been the 11th, January 11th, next Monday. No? Okay.
I believe, and just to clarify, we can ask him, the earlier the better, Madam Chairman, but I think he had agreed to start 2 weeks after being hired, and the hire date would be, the official offer would be today.
All right, I'd like to offer the podium to Mr. Chatwin if you'd like to say anything. Certainly don't need to. We've met you, and we've completed the background. But you're here today, and we're happy to see you, so good morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. In reference to a start date, I was planning on a week from today, if that works for you folks.
Okay.
That's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Chatwin?
No, I've got a motion to appoint Mr. John Chatwin as Mohave County Risk Manager Director, range 29, step 6 at 102,440, under the current PTO standards.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, a motion on the floor by Supervisor Watson, seconded by Supervisor Angus. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Very grateful.
Thank you.
Going on to the next item, number 35, discussion of possible action, reference appointments of members to the Mohave County Board of Supervisors to regional, state, and Mohave County boards. I'll start with Vice Chair Supervisor Johnson.
What do you want me to say?
Do you want to change any of the boards that you're on, or leave them the way
I
that?
have no preference, no.
Okay, so we'll leave those boards the same for Supervisor Johnson. Supervisor Watson, any changes for you on the boards?
No. I'll be
Okay.
happy to continue what I'm doing.
Great. Supervisor Angus?
No, but I want to put on a future agenda, I want to start discussing the trust and the possibility of bringing it back under the board. We've spoken about it before. These are very big, we're talking about the employee benefit trust and our insurance self-trust. And it's right now, decisions are made by an appointed board with one appointed supervisor. And these are big issues that I believe used to be brought before the board. And I think the board should have a say. And it shouldn't be left up to one appointed and sort of, a volunteer board. I think Supervisor Johnson spoke about it several years ago, and now that I've done it several years, I tend to agree with it. It's a lot of responsibility and big decisions that affect all of our employees, and I think that it should be heard more publicly.
Okay.
Very good.
I think that's an excellent idea, and we'll agendize that at the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Moss, are you good with your committees?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm good with my committee, so I'll entertain a motion to leave the committees as are.
Second.
Okay, who made the motion?
I thought you did.
All right, I made the motion. Supervisor Angus seconded it, so we'll take the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Going on to item 36, discussion and possible action, appoint board chairman myself to the following chairman appointments: Fill the Gap Committee, Designated Planning Agency, and Mohave County Committee on the Justice System.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you for those new committees. Item number 37, discussion of possible action, legal status of the open fire district and possible appointment of an administrator to administer the district. So I think at this time, I'd like to call up the fire chief and let.
Well, if you've been following the papers and everything, we've, last 8 months, we've been, I was appointed, and we've been running into a few hiccups. I'm now left with one remaining board member. I've had a resignation of our board chair and a clerk of the board. And at this point in time, obviously, I cannot continue the department with just one person. I need a quorum. And I'm glad that you guys have stepped in and to help me, because throughout this whole process, the county has been a great resource, and I appreciate all the support and work that you guys have done. Yeah, we need help to continue this, the fire district. Just so you guys are aware that we found documentation, and we're coming up on our 100th anniversary. April 28th, 1916, the fire district was formed, and the Springfield Insurance Company was the company that insured the district and when it was formed. So we want to continue for another 100 years.
All right. Thank you very much. And I'll ask the board members if they have any questions of you, starting with Supervisor Angus again. Supervisor Watson, any questions?
Another 100 years is very ambitious.
I set my goals high.
Good luck.
He's a young chief. Supervisor Johnson, do you have any questions?
Not as a fire chief, no.
Okay, and Supervisor Moss?
None. Thank you for coming, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do have a person that's signed up to speak, and we're very much interested in hearing from this lady, Miss Bonnie Nowak, who lives in Oatman and has been part of the fire district for quite some time.
Yes, I am here today to apply for the position of administrator of the district.
All right, I did hear that, Bonnie, and I'm very pleased. And I do have your resume that you were kind enough to put together for us. Supervisor Johnson and Supervisor Moss, that's on the be on the screen for you to see. So do any of the board members have any questions of Ms. Nowak? Supervisor Angus? Supervisor Watson?
None.
Supervisor Johnson?
Not of her, the county attorney.
Absolutely, that's coming. Supervisor Moss?
None, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Novak. And I'll now refer to our county attorney. Can you advise us of where we stand legally, what actions we can take today?
But it's evident, Madam Chairman, from looking at the history of this matter, that at this point in time, the board is unable to perform its statutory functions. It needs to be administered by someone. In the past, in Desert Hills Fire Department, we had appointed an administrator that successfully walked them through a process that got them back to be viable again. Of course, we have the issue that we had with Mr. Flynn, where we appointed him. That's quite a pricey solution. At this point in time, if we have someone who's interested, who the chief evidently supports and the community supports, to temporarily administer the district, I think the logical step for the board to take is at this time to appoint an administrator. And I'm willing to answer Supervisor Johnson's questions, which I'm assuming are technical in nature.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Johnson, I'll just go right to you because I know you do have questions. So the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Attorney Ekstrom, I guess, are our options to appoint an administrator and or to call for an election?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, there is an option to call for an election at a future date. In the meantime, the district has no one to run the district.
Correct, but I mean, if we call for the election, then we still have to appoint someone. I don't see where it says we have to appoint someone.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, my recommendation is temporarily you appoint the administrator. If at some point in time it becomes necessary to call an election, we'll do so.
Thank you, Attorney Ekstrom. The problem I have, Madam Chair, is the same problem I had with Desert Hills. And this is saying nothing about the lady who's, volunteered her time, and, I appreciate that. But we're taking over government agencies with no audits of the books. It's a responsibility we have to the taxpayers up there, and it's a great responsibility to the lady or whoever we would appoint to go into something without a full audit of money beforehand and an audit afterwards. That's the only problem I have with turning it over to somebody else.
Madam Chair?
All right,
That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Johnson. Supervisor Angus?
Is there an option to appoint someone to the board, not an administrator itself, but if you appoint another person to the board, would that make a quorum? I'm a little confused.
Mr. Ekstrom, can you advise?
Well, Madam Chairman, in looking at the statute, I was surprised to find that you didn't have the authority to simply step in and appoint a new board member.
Really? Okay.
It's my understanding that if we appointed an administrator, then that administrator could then appoint a board member, and then they would have a quorum. Is that correct?
Madam Chairman, that's the idea, is to get the district back to inform again.
Okay. Supervisor Watson, do you have anything?
Madam Chair, I think that's what we did originally with Lake Mojave Ranchos, didn't we? We appointed an administrator who then appointed, Desert Hills, right? Desert Hills, we did that, appointed administrator, and who then appointed somebody to the board.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Angus, that's correct.
Right, okay.
Correct.
All right, Supervisor Moss, do you have any questions?
No, I will confirm that that's how we handled the Desert Hills situation, is appointing an administrator who then took things from there until they reconstituted a board, and then later elections were held.
All right, thank you. I can tell you that I do know Ms. Nowak, and I do know that she's been very involved in the community and the fire department. I've spoke to the one remaining fire board member that is here today, Mr. Tim Brown. She has his support, she has the fire chief's support, and I think she has the goodwill of the community. She's a business owner there, and I would, as chair, entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Nowak as the Administrator.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye. Madam Chair?
Yes, Supervisor Johnson, go ahead.
The other one is just a technical thing. On item 28, I voted no. I wasn't sure if you guys heard me or not.
I couldn't hear what you said again. You're a little muffled. Could you repeat?
On item 28, I voted against that motion. I wasn't sure if it was caught by the clerk.
She has it now if she didn't before, so thank you.
Good. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, did we take a vote on that? Motion and a second. All right, congratulations, Ms. Nowak, and good luck with the administration of the fire department, and
I think I'm going to need some help.
we will be here to do what we can for you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion to adjourn, second.
Happy to second. You bet.
All those in favor?
We're up
say
together.
aye.
Aye.
Motion is accepted, and we're adjourned.